Amid the backlash, Governor McCrory has partially changed the law. It would now expand protections, barring state workers from being fired for their sexual orientation, but the rest of the legislation has remained intact. To discuss the state of LGBT rights worldwide, I spoke earlier with Renato Sabbadini, Executive Director of ILGA. That's the International Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Trans, and Intersex Association.
In general, we would say that these laws are reflecting the change into the culture. It is quite difficult to imagine that you would change a generally hostile population by starting with a law. These laws arrive at the end of a history of rulings, of protests, of marches, but also changes in culture. Usually they arrive when in a country there has been already an ongoing debate, both at the level of the legislative, but also in the day-to-day lives of every citizen.
What would you say are the biggest concerns right now in the LGBT community? Marriage, employment discrimination, or is it something else?
Well, marriage is a priority in certain countries. I would not say, and we would not say, it is a priority at the global level. Let's not forget that there are still 75 countries where you may end up in jail if you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, or if you are a trans person because you dress in a way that is not expected to be conformed to the gender attributed to you at birth. So let's say from the strict point of view of priorities, certainly our main concern are still the 75 countries which have criminalizing law against homosexuality. And also our second priority is the depathologization of trans identities in general. For the time being, according to the guidelines of the World Health Organization, the WHO, a person who feels to have a different gender than the one attributed at birth is still considered, strictly speaking, to have a mental problem. So our battle now is also at that level to finally depathologize any language referred to trans persons.
Which regions in the world are the most supportive of same-sex marriage, and which countries are the most against it still?
Well, you have Europe, especially Western Europe, then North America, but increasingly Latin America is becoming also quite a champion of marriage equality. But then there's also New Zealand, in Oceania, in South Africa. The countries which are most hostile for the time being seem to be those of we could say that belong to the Organization of the Islamic Countries. But well, you could add also a country like Russia, which, although is not, strictly speaking, a country which criminalizes same-sex sexual relationships among consenting adults, it is nevertheless a country which, at least in the last few years, has increasingly shown the will to introduce norms and that would punish and persecute activists, LGBTI activists.